His sights are two, inside and outside. On which side are you? One door and only one, and yet its sides are two. I'm on the inside. On which side are you?
Remember, boys and girls, in our lesson last week that God wanted to live and dwell with his people? And he had given Moses up on the mountain exactly the pattern that he wanted Moses to build a place for him. And that place was called the tabernacle. It was to be a sanctuary, a holy place, because God is holy. Now the curtain around the tabernacle was fine linen that we talked about last week. And that fine linen that was there represented righteousness. Since God is holy, and this was the place that God was going to dwell, the righteousness of God is here on the outside, and the people could not follow this righteousness in themselves. They weren't good enough, but God had a plan and a way that the people could come into this righteous area of linen. And today's lesson, we're going to look at that entrance, the gate. Sometimes the gate was called also the door into it. And it wasn't like a door we know, a doorway that's maybe wooden in your house, but it was a curtain just like the linen. But this curtain was different from the linen. It was made in Exodus 27:16. It tells us, for the gate of the court was to be a screen 20 cubits long, woven with blue and purple and scarlet thread, and fine woolen linen, made by a weaver. It would have 4 pillars, and 4 sockets, and each color mentioned was important. The blue in the curtain talks about heaven. The purple color talks about being a king, because purple was a very expensive color to have. That means it costs lots of money. A king is someone who would have enough money in order to have clothes that were purple. So when you saw someone in purple, we knew they were very, very important, like the king. The white linen is also there. And we know that white linen, don't we? That it stands for, that's right, boys and girls, righteousness, or being right. The next color is the color scarlet or red, and red stands for blood. This beautiful door faced the east, and that is where the rising of the sun was. And the east, just like it does at your home. If you go outside in the morning, then the direction that the sun is coming up, that is the east. The people must have been excited and happy to see the colors after so long being in the desert, where there is very little color and mostly just drab. God's place would be very inviting to the people as they looked at this beautiful, beautiful gate. And as the sun rose, it would shine on that gate, and how beautiful it must have been. The gate was a wide door, but there was only one way in, and that was through that gate. And it was the way for anyone who needed forgiveness for their sins. For inside of that gate was another special place. That place was the altar. As you can see past the gate or the door, there is a burning fire on the altar. This altar was a place where the sacrifice was made to take away the sins of the people. This door that we have here was a door for people, for cattle, for goats, for lambs that were going in to be sacrificed. Not the people, but they were bringing their sacrifice of these animals to be forgiven of their sins. And in our next lesson, we will talk more about those sacrifices. Remember, God wanted to live with his people, and God wanted to teach his people about a special sacrifice that would be his only begotten Son, Jesus. He would provide for them a sacrifice, and that would be for all people to accept when they saw their need for forgiveness of sin. Remember, we're talking about the door. Now let's go forward in history when Jesus lived. Jesus says later on in the scriptures when he is born, he says, I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture. Jesus, a door? Well, let's see why he said this. In the time of Jesus, the sheep were kept at night inside of a safe place. And at night, even though the sheep could come in and out during the day, at night they needed to be protected. At night the shepherd would lay down, just like being a door. This is what Jesus was talking about. He said, I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and go in and out of the pasture. Jesus calls himself the good shepherd who looks after his sheep. He protects his sheep. He watches over them. Now, as we go to our gate or door in the outer courts again, let's take a look at those colors. And how do they represent Jesus? Now, blue is the color of heaven, and Jesus came down from heaven to earth as a baby, a human like you and me. He was fully human, but he was also fully God. Purple is the other color, and purple is the color of a king. Jesus is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And then the red. The red is the color for blood. Boys and girls, you understand that. Jesus shed his blood for our sins. So, can you see Jesus as that door? This beautiful door is just one way God wanted to teach his people the truth that they had only one door, and in the future, Jesus would come to the earth and be that door that we may go in and be with God. How wonderful that is.
Well, Timmy, I just love the song you did at the beginning. It went just perfectly with our lesson today. Yep, it did, it did. Now, Timmy, let me just ask you, who is the door? It's Jesus! Yes, it is. It's Jesus. And when you said you were on the inside, I went coming in. What does that mean to you? That means I am in Jesus. Because I ask him into our heart. That's inside the door. Yes, it is. And I'm just so proud of you, Timmy. You just got the lesson perfectly. And boys and girls, I hope you have Jesus in your heart as well. And all you have to do is ask him. We can't do enough to go to heaven and be with that wonderful place. Heaven is a place that is all love and joy, and we just can't do enough. No, but Jesus did it for us. That's right. Well, boys and girls, you have a great week, and we'll see you next week with more about what, Timmy? The tabernacle. Yes, sir, the tabernacle. You have a good week. Bye-bye.